Okay. So to begin po with our discussion, let us first have our opening prayer to be led by Charmaine. Charmaine, anak? Is my PowerPoint presentation visible to you? Okay, Miss Charmaine, please lead the prayer. Yes, Angel Faith.
Mama ko na lang po.
Yes, go ahead.
Father God, come be with us today. Fill our hearts with joy. Fill our minds with learning. Fill our classroom with peace. Fill our lesson with fun. Fill our friendship with kindness. Fill our school with love. Amen.
Okay, amen. So good morning once again. So let us uh, uh, in our discussion or class today, we have with us our science department head, Boss Judy. Good morning, boss, and the one of the master teachers in science, Ma'am Grace. So good morning po, boss and Ma'am Grace. So welcome to our virtual classroom. Our topic for today is all about the properties of ionic and covalent compounds. Do you have any idea, class, what is ionic and covalent compound? Who has an idea what is ionic and covalent compound, or what is the difference between ionic and covalent compound? You may click the raise hand button, or you may unmute your microphone if you have something to say. Yes? Okay, go ahead, Harry.
Ma'am, yung ionic po is usually formed when a metal reacts with a non-metal. Tas po
Okay.
yung covalent po is formed when two non-metals react with each other po.
Okay, so good idea. How about the others? Thank you for sharing your idea, Harry. How about the others? Do you have any background knowledge regarding with the properties of ionic and covalent compounds? Or ano nga ba itong sinasabing ionic and covalent compounds? Bakit sila compounds? Meron pa ba? Or do you have other ideas regarding with this topic? Para alam po natin kung sino yung advance dito sa topic at saka kung sino yung kailangang makinig dito sa topic na ito. Okay? So, tama po yung sinabi ni Harry na ionic is formed when there is a metal and non-metal element. And covalent naman po when two non-metal elements are combined or bond. So, specific objectives, ano yung dapat nating ma-attain at the end of this lesson? First, determine the difference between ionic and covalent compounds. Second, please read the second objective, Ria May.
Compare and contrast iconic and covalent compounds and give a few distinguished and characteristics of each.
Okay, so at the end of this lesson, we will now compare and we will contrast what are the characteristics of ionic and covalent compounds. Lastly, please read, Cheska. Cheska, please read the third objective.
Appreciate the different priorities of chemical compounds which are essential to life.
Okay, so malalaman po natin at the end of the lesson kung ano yung iba-ibang properties ng ionic and covalent compound na makatutulong sa buhay po natin, or there are some ionic and covalent compounds na ginagamit or even nasa ating katawan. We will find them out. So let's first have a review on what have we discussed last meeting. First question, how do elements differ from compounds? And second, give examples of compounds. So last meeting, di ba, we have discussed elements and what are those examples of elements. So who can give or who can answer the first question? How do elements differ from compounds? Anyone from this class? You may raise your hand or just click the raise hand button or even unmute your microphone, class, if you have something to say. First question, how do elements differ from compounds? Paano naiiba yung elements sa compounds? Okay, hurry again.
Ma'am, yung elements po are pure substance which are composed of one only type of atom po. Tapos po yung compounds are substance which are formed by two or more different type of elements po.
Okay, very good. Any idea from this class? Other ideas pa po? Aside from what Harry said? How about Fatima? Do you have any idea? Stephanie? Hello, hello. Nandyan pa po ba kayo? Ira? Ira Nicole? Do you have any idea what is the difference between elements and compounds? Lover Kain, do you have any idea? Isa-isahin ko kayo. Ria May Gonzalez.
Ma'am, element is a substance that cannot be chemically composed into a simpler substances.
Okay.
Yung atom po ay smaller particular na element that cannot be part in chemical reaction po.
Okay. How about compounds, anak?
Ma'am, same lang po kay Harry yung tanong.
Okay. Good idea. How about Maria Sofia Ann? Wala. Fatima, Cheska. I know Cheska have an idea what is the difference between element and compound. Cheska, anak? How about Adam? Okay. So, tama po yung sinabi ni Harry at saka ni, sino yun? If I'm not mistaken, Rhea May, that element, it is a pure substance that contain only one specific atom. And compounds, they are composed of two or more elements. Tama po yun. And elements cannot be broken down into simpler substance. And number two, who can give examples of compounds? Sino yung pwedeng makapagbigay? What are the examples of compounds na ating nakikita or ginagamit po natin sa paglalaba, sa paglilinis ng bahay? Okay, sino ito? Fatima, sige, let's start from Fatima. Dupitas.
Water, carbon dioxide, and table salt.
Okay, marami siyang binigay. So we have water, carbon dioxide, and table salt. How about the others? Harry.
Bleach po, salt, glucose, and glucose po are
Okay.
mas
Okay, thank you for that. How about the others? Let's hear from Ira Nicole.
Sodium chloride,
Mm-mm.
carbon monoxide.
Okay. Okay. Meron pa po ba?
Ma'am, oxygen po tsaka iron.
Oxygen and iron. Anak, we are talking on the examples of compounds. Compounds, sabi natin kanina, it is composed of 2 or more elements. So, sa binigay mo, I think those are examples of, ano po siya? Those are examples of elements. Meron pa po ba? Okay. So, yung mga binigay po, correct po yung mga binigay, those are examples of compounds. So, meron po tayong mga sagot dito. How do elements differ from compounds? Okay. So, element, pure substance consisting of one type of atom. And compound naman po, pure substance consisting of 2 or more different atoms. Just like your classmate told us, carbon dioxide. So in carbon dioxide, we have carbon and 2 oxygen. So meron po siyang, or it is composed of 2 different atoms or 2 elements, which is carbon and oxygen. Correct. So give examples of compounds. We have here sugar, table salt, water, carbon dioxide, sodium bicarbonate. So, nandito po yung mga chemical structure po nila, or if I'm not mistaken, chemical formula. So, we have sugar, C12H22O11. So, anong ibig sabihin po nito? In sugar, it is composed of, ano yung mga elements present? Bakit naging compound yung sugar? We have Ria May. Bakit naging compound ito, Ria May? Yung sugar. It is composed of 12 carbon, 22 atoms of hydrogen, and 11 atoms of oxygen. That is why it is considered as compounds. Correct. How about in water naman po? Bakit naging compound po siya? Anyone? Adam, bakit naging compound yung water? Anyone from the class? Kasi sabi pa lang natin kanina na compound, it is composed of 2 or more different atoms. So that is why yung water is considered as compound. Kasi ano yung mga elements present dito? We have 2 hydrogen atom and 1 oxygen atom. So we have 2 elements. Kaya kinonsidered siya as compound. So also, carbon dioxide, merong 1 carbon and 2 oxygen atom. Sodium bicarbonate, or commonly known as baking soda, we have Na. Ano itong element na may symbol na Na? Sige nga, from the class. Anong element yung may symbol na Na? Grade 9.
Sodium po.
Okay, sodium. Ano yung element na may symbol na H? Dapat alam nyo na to kasi grade 9 na kayo.
Hydrogen.
Hydrogen. Ano yung element na may symbol na C?
Carbon po.
Correct. And lastly, ano yung element man na may symbol na O?
Oxygen po.
Okay, so in this compound, how many elements present? We have 1, sodium, hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen. So therefore, it is composed of 2 or more atoms that are being bonded. So we have this compound as sodium bicarbonate. Okay. So you have on your screen, what is this? Are you familiar with this?
Table of elements po.
Table of elements. Another answer po?
Periodic table po.
Periodic table. Ano pa po? Anong tawag natin dito pag nakikita natin ito? Ano yung sinasabi natin? Or ano yung pinapangalan natin dito? It is a periodic table of elements consisting of how many elements? Sige nga kung alam nyo kung ilan yung elements present in this periodic table. Grade 9?
118 po.
Okay, so in this periodic table of elements, it consists of 118 elements. So, memorize nyo ba itong lahat? 118 elements? Or can you give at least 5 elements that are present in this periodic table? Sa amin, pinapamemorize kahit 10 lang eh. How about kayo? Dapat may memorize or may alam kayong at least 5 naman lang na elements that are present in this periodic table. So, sige nga, let's have Fatima. Fatima? Nakikita. Sige nga. Ano yung alam mo dito sa elements na ito? Fatima?
Oxygen,
Mm-mm.
iron,
Mm-mm.
lithium,
Mm-mm.
mm,
What else? Nagre-review pa lang po tayo ha. Hindi pa ito yung discussion proper po natin.
neon,
Mm-mm.
carbon,
Okay. How about their symbol? Are you familiar with their symbol or corresponding symbol of each element? Ano yung symbol ng iron, Fatima? Kung sabi mo, ano lang, pangalan, name of elements, tas ngayon symbol na. Dapat marunong din kayo nun. Okay, let's have another one. Sino yung nag-raise po ng hand? Joshen? Sige, go ahead.
Ma'am, hydrogen po.
Mm-mm.
Helium, beryllium, oxygen po.
Okay. Ma'am, yan po yung mga section ng grade 9. Tama ba ako? Okay, let's have another one. Angel Faith.
Aluminum, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon.
Okay, very good. Harry. How about Harry?
Helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, and tungsten po.
Easy. May idadagdag pa ata si Harry. Aside from those 5 elements mentioned. Meron pa ba? Dali-dali lang eh. Yes,
Gold, silver.
Okay, sige. Go ahead, Harry.
Nitrogen, sulfur, carbon po.
Okay, thank you for that. How about Ira? Last, Ira.
Beryllium, titanium, aluminum, neon, boron.
Okay. Those elements you've mentioned are all included in this periodic table of elements. So we have here, as you can see, the name of the, ay kulang ng name of elements, pero it is present in the periodic table of elements, the name of elements, the symbol, the mass number, ano pa po yung pwedeng makita dito? If it is in the alkaline, if it is alkaline metal, alkaline earth metals, and the group and period where they belong. So, yun yung makikita po natin sa periodic table of elements. Class, make sure na kung alam nyo yung mga pangalan ng elements, alam nyo din yung kanilang symbol. Okay? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so in the periodic table of elements, meron po tayong mga elements that are considered as metal, metalloid, and non-metal. We have here yellow elements. Those are elements that are non-metal. The green ones, they are metalloid. And the blue ones, they are metal elements. Okay po ba? So, bakit ito dinidiscuss natin? Kasi this metal, metalloid, and non-metals have something to do with the formation of ionic and covalent compounds. Now, kindly kung ma-screenshot nyo ito or di ba nagsabi ako earlier na prepare a periodic table of elements kasi gagamitin natin ito. Or if hindi po kayo nakahanap, wala kayong nahanap na periodic table of elements, you may picture this slide or screenshot na lang po for further uses. Okay na po ba? Na-screenshot na po natin?
Opo.
Okay. Can we proceed now to the next slide?
Opo.
Okay, thank you. So, ionic compound or this compound is being bonded by ionic bond. So, yung ionic compound po, class, it is formed when there is a metal and non-metal. Mamaya, check po natin kung ano yung mga metals, non-metals, metalloids, ano yung mga elements na pwede nating ma-form into a ionic compound. And covalent compound naman, it is bonded or elements are bonded by a covalent bond. It is formed when there is non-metal plus non-metal element or metalloid plus non-metal element. Okay na po ba? Can we go back to the periodic table of elements? Tandaan po natin ito. Metal plus non-metal is equal to or the formation of ionic compound. Non-metal plus non-metal, formation of covalent compound. Let's go back to the periodic table of elements in order for us to be familiarized what are the elements that are considered as metal and non-metal elements or metalloid elements. Okay, familiarize for 2 minutes what are the metal elements, metalloid, and non-metals. So, in the periodic table of elements class, yung mga metal elements, they are found mostly in the left portion of the periodic table. While the non-metal elements, opposite po niya sa right side of the periodic table. Yung metalloid, nasa gitna po siya. Okay, for 2 minutes, familiarize the periodic table of elements. Kasi we will have an exercise regarding with this. Okay, so I hope you are already familiar with the elements that are metal, metalloid, and non-metal. Let's proceed. So let's try this. We have, ilan po ba sila? 5 compounds. So we have here NaCl. Mamaya, malalaman po natin kung ano yung mga pangalan ng mga compounds po na ito. 2H2O, 3Mg, O4, CO2, 5 CaCl2. So with the use of the periodic table of elements, you're going to answer whether this compound is an ionic or covalent compound. Again, this exercise we will determine whether the compound is an ionic or a covalent. Naintindihan po ba? Sino yung may mga tanong? Please raise or click the raise hand button if you have some questions regarding with this exercise. Wala po?
Wala po.
Is everything clear to you, class? Again, for the last time around. So in this exercise, you're going to determine if the compound is an ionic or a covalent compound. Review lang po natin ha. Ionic compound, these are compounds that is composed or that is being formed when there is a metal and non-metal element. Now, covalent compound naman po is formed when there is a non-metal plus non-metal or metalloid plus non-metal elements. So, clear na po ba yon? So, you will answer this exercise for about 10 minutes. Kaya ba? 10 minutes, class? Or ma'am, 5 minutes na lang. Ang easy-easy. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes to answer this exercise. And that 10 minutes will start now. Okay? If you have some questions, class, feel free to ask me or just click the raise hand button for you to be entertained. Thank you. And if you are done, class, just hit the raise hand button. Okay. Let's wait for the others. Hurry. Cheska is also done. Last 4 minutes, class. Then after, we will check immediately your answer. Last 2 minutes, class. Okay, so let's check your answer. Who will answer number 1? And try to identify, uh, first, try to identify what are the elements present, and then determine if it is ionic or covalent. Then, lastly, uh, try nyo sabihin kung ano yung pangalan ng compound. Okay lang ba yon? Try lang naman. Okay, number 1. Who will answer? Yes? Harry.
Number 1 po is ionic, tapos po yung name niya is sodium chloride po.
Sodium chloride. What are the elements present first? Sabihin mo, Na, kung ano siya, metal, Cl, non-metal, ganon. Tapos, kung anong klaseng compound and then the name of the element para malinawan ng ating mga kaklase. Yes, Harry, please.
Ma'am, metal po yung Na, tapos yung Cl is non-metal po.
Okay, so that is why it is
Ionic po.
correct. And what is the name of that compound?
Sodium chloride po.
Okay, correct. So we have here, number 1, NaCl, sodium chloride. We have ionic compound. Number 2, correct po. Kindly check your works na lang po. If it is correct, then put a check mark on it. Number 2, who will try? Number 2, wala nang sasagot. Volunteer from this class.
Hydrogen, oxygen, ma'am.
Sino to? Nandun lang kami. Sino ba yun? Sige anak, go ahead. And answer.
Hydron, oxygen, ma'am.
Hydrogen and
Oxygen.
oxygen. Ilang hydrogen atom yung nandyan? There are 2 hydrogen atom and oxygen. So hydrogen, is it metal or non-metal? Lover.
Metal, ma'am.
Hydrogen, tingnan mo yung label. Yes. So, tutulungan ka daw ni Angel Faith. Fatima.
Non-metal.
Non-metal po, ma'am.
Okay, hydrogen is non-metal. Tingnan niyo yung label dito, oh. Yellow colored are the non-metal elements. Yung blue, yung metals, at saka yung green, yung metalloid. Yes, Fatima. Answer number 2. Louder po.
Non-metal po.
Sige, go ahead. How about oxygen? Fatima. Fatima, are you there? Yes, Angel Faith.
Po.
Answer number 2. Who will help? Yes, go ahead, anak.
Ma'am, hydrogen po, non-metal po. Then yung oxygen po, non-metal din po.
Correct. So, what type of compound?
Covalent compound.
Okay, correct. And what is the name of that compound? H2O. Hindi ba kayo familiar dyan? What is the name of that compound?
Water po.
Water.
Okay, correct. Water. So, number 3, who will answer? Yes. Joshen.
Magnesium and oxygen po yung yung M po, magnesium. Tapos yung
M lang ba? Mg.
magnesium, and yung
Okay.
O po, oxygen.
Go ahead.
Yung Mg po, metal. Yung oxygen naman po, non-metal.
Okay. And therefore, okay, ionic. And what's the name of the compound?
Magnesium
Okay, correct. So Mg, we have Mg is metal element, and oxygen we have non-metal element. Metal plus non-metal, it will form into ionic compound. Then it is, the name of the compound is magnesium oxide. Correct. Number 4. Ira Nicole.
Carbon po, madam, at saka po oxygen.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Metal and non-metal.
Carbon. Check nyo ng maayos. Carbon is
Non-metal,
mm.
tsaka pati po non-metal, mat.
Okay. So, ano siya? Is it ionic or covalent?
Ionic.
Non-metal plus non-metal, anak.
Covalent.
Covalent, correct. Then, what is the name of the compound?
Carbon dioxide.
Okay, correct. Carbon dioxide. Then, the last compound we have, who will answer? Joshen.
Ma'am, Ca po, calcium. Cl po, chlorine.
Chlorine. Okay.
Ionic compound.
Ionic compound. Kasi metal plus non-metal. And then, what is the name of that compound?
Calcium.
Okay, you are correct. Calcium chloride. So, we have here the answer. Number 1, sodium chloride, ionic compound. Water, covalent kasi 2 non-metal elements present. Number 3, MgO or magnesium oxide, ionic compound also. Number 4, CO2 or carbon dioxide, we have covalent kasi dalawang non-metal elements. And lastly, CaCl2, we have calcium dichloride or calcium chloride. And it is considered as ionic compound kasi metal and non-metal element. So we have here Venn diagram showing the comparison between ionic and covalent compounds. So when we say ionic compound, ano yon? Formed between metals and non-metals, and covalent compound naman formed between two non-metals or metal plus non-metal, na wrong yung pag-type, non-metal plus metalloid. And then they are both connected by bands. So ano yung klase ng band na nagko-connect sa ionic compounds? We have the ionic band, and for covalent naman compound, it is connected by covalent band. Another information, yung ionic compound po, it is a transfer of valence electron. Kasi magkaiba po sila. We have metal plus non-metal. May transfer po. May isa na nag-gain, may isa na nag-lose ng electron. And when we have this covalent, they share valence electron. Okay? Now, andito po yung ating topic for today, the properties of ionic and covalent compounds. So we have here different properties of ionic and covalent compounds. So let me read to you the properties of ionic and covalent compound. First is the structure or existence. So for ionic compound, we have network of banded ions. Why? The covalent compounds, it is more on molecules. Second property, we have types of elements involved. So kanina, na-identify na natin kung bakit na-form yung ionic at saka covalent compound. So in ionic compound, there is a combination of metal plus non-metal. And then for covalent naman po, on the other hand, it is a combination of two non-metal elements. Okay? So the third property is the position on the periodic table. As you observed earlier, sa periodic table of elements po natin, yung ionic compounds, the metal and non-metal elements are or can be found in the opposite side. Yung metal nandito sa left, yung non-metal elements are found on the left, on the right side of the periodic table. So magkabilaan sila, okay? So for covalent compounds naman, they are close together. Sama-sama yung mga non-metals at saka yung metalloids. So valence electron transferred, meaning to say, yung isang element nawawala ng electron, may isang element naman na nakakatanggap ng electron. On the other hand, for covalent compound, they are sharing the valence electron. Next property, we have electrical conductivity. Kung good conductor ba ito ng electricity or not. So for ionic, we have good when melted or dissolved. So mga good conductors sila. For covalent naman, on the other hand, poor electrical conductors in all phases. So next property, we have state at room temperature. Solid, nagiging solid siya at around 25 degrees Celsius. And for covalent naman, solid, liquids, and gases at room temperature. Melting and boiling points. Pagdating dito sa melting and boiling points, generally high yung ionic compound, and for covalent, we have generally low. Solubility. For ionic compound, they are usually soluble in water, but insoluble in organic solvents. On the other hand, for covalent compound, insoluble in water, but soluble in organic solvents, not soluble in polar solvent because it is non-polar. So later, i-check po natin kung ano yung mga items or yung mga nakikita natin sa bahay, sa labas ng bahay, or even yung mga nagagamit natin sa kusina sa paglalaba, kung ano yung mga items po na ito na may mga iba't ibang properties. Next property, we have hardness or consistency. Usually yung mga ionic compounds, they tend to be hard and brittle. So mga matitigas silang mga compounds or items. And for covalent compounds naman, tend to be softer and more flexible. So ano nga ba yung mga items or mga gamit sa bahay or mga makikitang gamit sa bahay ng mga matitigas? Or ginagamit sa paglalaba, ginagamit sa paghuhugas. And ano yung mga bagay na mga malalambot or flexible? And then next property, we have naming compounds named without prefixes. And for covalent, we have named using Greek prefixes. Lastly, ano yung band na nagdudugtong sa mga elements na ito? For ionic, we have ionic band. And for covalent band po yung baband sa dalawang elements na non-metal. So those are the properties of ionic and covalent compound. Please have a screenshot of this or take picture kasi gagamitin po ito table later. Tapos na po bang mag-picture? Or mag-screenshot? Please hit the raise hand button if you are done having a picture taking or screenshot of this slide. Okay, thank you. So, we will proceed now. Okay, performance task. Ito yung gagawin natin for 5 minutes lang kasi we are running out of time, or 10 minutes na lang daw kasi 9:56 pa lang. So, we have here Examine the table below. Use the information in the table to help you decide if the compound is ionic or covalent based from their properties, class. Write ionic or covalent in the box next to each compound. So dito nyo ilalagay whether they are ionic or covalent compound based from the properties given. So example, compound A. So ano yung may low melting point? Is it ionic or covalent? Then ilalagay niyo dito yung sagot ninyo whether it is ionic or covalent. Okay, so that 10 minutes, 5 minutes na lang daw ma'am kasi very easy lang daw. Your 5 minutes will start now. So at exactly siguro na 10:05, we'll check your answer, class. Again, if you are done, class, just hit or press the raise hand button. Thank you. Okay. So, marami nang tapos. Let's wait for the others. Anyway, oras is 10:02. You have remaining 3 minutes to answer this performance task. Okay, so time's up. Let's check your answer. Number 1, volunteer. Lahat kayo dapat may maisagot dito kasi 10 lang to 11 kayo. Sige, isa-isahin natin. Number 1, volunteer. Harry.
Covalent po.
Low melting point, we have covalent compound. Correct. Number 2, Fatima.
Covalent po.
Covalent, smallest particle is a molecule. Correct. Covalent compound. Next, letter C or compound C.
Ionic po.
Sino yon? Please raise your hand if you are willing to answer, if you are have something to say. Sino yon? Number or compound C? Who will be the one who will answer compound C?
Si Rhea po.
Rhea, please raise your hand or just click the raise hand button para maisulat ko dito kung sino yung nagre-recite. Rhea.
Ionic po.
Water solution conducts an electric current, then it is correct. Ionic compound. Next, compound D. Ira.
Ionic po.
Ionic. High melting point, ionic compound. Correct. Compound E. Stephanie.
Ionic po.
Combination of metals and nonmetals. Are you sure? Ionic. Stephanie? Are you sure? Wala, tinatanong lang siya kung are you sure? Wala na. Naguguluhan na. Combination of metals and nonmetals, then you are correct. It is an ionic compound. Property ng ionic compound. Correct. Compound F, Joshen.
Covalent compounds po.
Formed by two nonmetals. Correct. That is covalent or property ng covalent compound. Compound G. Sino pa yung hindi nakapag-recite? Angel Faith.
Ionic po. Ionic compound.
Ionic compound. Hard and brittle. Okay, correct. Property ng ionic compound. Compound H. Sino pa yung hindi nakapag-recite? Lover.
Covalent, ma'am.
Correct. Property ng covalent compound, yung formed by sharing electrons. Compound I, eto si Adam, hindi ko pa narinig. Adam. Tanyedo. Fatima.
Covalent po.
Okay, correct. Property ng covalent compound, yung pagiging soft and flexible. And lastly, compound J. Compound J, we have Maria Sofia.
Covalent po.
Okay, property ng covalent compound. Correct. So, all your answers are correct. A total of 10 points. Now, dali lang to. For 5 minutes na lang to. So, we will have a grade recitation na lang. Number 1, you are identify the first element and then whether it is metal or non-metal. Second element, kung metal or non-metal element. Number 1, we will try. Graded recitation na lang po ito. Yes, go ahead. Anyway, parang review na lang to ng diniscuss natin kanina. Sige, go. H2O. Joshen.
First element po, H. Non-metal po.
Correct?
Second element po, non-metal din po.
Correct. Identify whether it is ionic or covalent.
Covalent compound po.
Correct. So, 3 points for that. Second one. Volunteer. Second one. Fatima. Angel Faith. Ma'am, wala kaming nakikitang periodic table of elements. Dapat memorize nyo na. Sige, CH4. Who will try? Hurry. Okay, so Maria Sofia Ann is raising her hand. Go ahead, anak.
C po is non-metal and H and 4 atoms po non-metal. Then
Correct.
covalent po.
Correct. So covalent compound, we have carbon and hydrogen. Those are non-metal elements, then it is covalent. Correct? Number 3. Who will try?
CCl4, ma'am. Metal. Second, ma'am, metal. Iconic.
Wait lang. Naguluhan kami, lover. So, first element is?
Metal.
Sure?
Opo, ma'am.
Carbon is?
Metal din, ma'am.
Sige, who will help, lover?
Wait lang po, ma'am.
Sige, check nyo yung kodigo ninyo. Okay. Help, lover. Who will try to help, lover? Harry, nandyan ka pa?
Up.
Okay, sige. Try to answer the number 3 compound. CCl. CCl4. Yes. Okay, go ahead.
Ma'am, first element non-metal, second element non-metal equals covalent po.
C. CL. Is CL metal or non-metal? Okay, correct. Cl is non-metal plus carbon. C is carbon, which is non-metal. Cl is chlorine, which is non-metal also, so it is covalent. Correct. Number 4. Yes, go ahead, anak.
Ma'am, first element metal, second element non-metal equals covalent.
First element is,
Metal po.
okay, plus the second element is,
Non-metal po.
oh, metal plus non-metal.
Covalent. Ay, ionic bond po.
Okay, ionic compound. And lastly, number fifth element. Fifth compound rather. We'll answer number 5 compound. NAF. Wala nang sasagot? Yes, go ahead, anak. Hurry.
Ma'am, non-metal po tapos metal.
Na is, check nyo sa periodic table of elements.
Non-metal po yung Na, tas yung F po is metal.
Are you sure? Na is a non-metal element. Sodium. Saan siya makikita? On the left portion. Sige, help Harry. Angel Faith.
Ma'am, metal po. Non-metal, ionic po.
Okay, correct. Sodium is considered as metal element class, and F, which is, ano yung F?
Non-metal po.
Chlorine, which is non-metal. So metal plus non-metal results into formation of ionic compound. Correct. So now, application tayo. Name some items that are compounds and give their uses. Yung mga items or yung mga bagay na nakikita natin sa kusina, ginagamit natin sa paghugas, paglalaba, or even sa ating sarili. So, what are those compounds? Sige nga. Yung soap, is it a compound? Yes or no, class? Yes or no lang? Sabon. Detergent. Toothpaste.
Yes po.
Ano pa? Bleach. Asin. Sugar. What else? Water. Yung nilalanghap natin na hangin, carbon dioxide, oxygen, yung carbon dioxide nilalabas natin, yung oxygen nilalanghap natin. So, those are compounds, di ba po? Etong upuan, it is made of 2 or more elements. What else? Maging yung mga unan natin, they are considered as compounds. Mga higaan. So, lots of items present around us are considered or it is composed of 2 or more elements. Now, paano natin ito marirelate sa ibang subject? For example, in TLE, di ba, may particular lesson kayo na kung saan, gumagawa kayo nagbe-bake kayo, gumagawa kayo ng mga kung ano-anong produkto. So, the ingredients in making or in baking food, in making products are composed of elements and they are considered as compounds. Okay? So we have here some compounds that are considered as ionic or covalent compound based from the elements in it. So we have toothpaste, first item. So CaCO3. So based from that chemical structure, malalaman natin kung ionic ba siya or anong tawag dito? Covalent. NAF. So, ano ito? NAF. Is it ionic or covalent compound class? Yung toothpaste natin.
Ionic po.
Ionic. Kasi yung Na is a metal and F is a non-metal. So, what is the use of toothpaste? Alam po natin na ginagamit natin ito para maging malinis ang ating mga ngipin. So, it is one of the items that is considered as ionic compound. And it is very useful for us para hindi tayo magkaroon ng cavity or para hindi maging mabaho yung mga hininga natin. Next, we have, what is this? Asin, table salt. Ano yung kahalagahan ng asin sa atin? Gumagamit ba tayo ng asin or yung mama nyo gumagamit sa pag-prepare ng pagkain? We can find salt on almost every day dining table as the basic ingredients which can be used in so many smart ways other than seasoning your food and is also considered as one of the most effective preservatives. So, yung table salt, may chemical formula siya na NaCl. So, based from this chemical formula, we can identify that table salt is an ionic or covalent. Sige nga.
Ionic po.
Ha?
Ionic compound po.
Ionic po.
Are you sure? Sino nagsabi ng ionic? Na is a metal plus Cl is a non-metal. So, this item, this table salt is considered as ionic compound. And then, nakalagay dito yung kahalagahan niya sa pang-araw-araw. Ginagamit ito as ingredients in preparation of our food and also for preserving those food. Ano pa yung kahalagahan ng asin maliban doon? Meron pa ba kayong nalalaman? Meron pa ba kahalagahan ng asin, class? Lo, yun lang? Uy, class. Meron pa ba? What are the uses pa? Some uses of salt. Wala na, ma'am. Yun lang yung alam kong kahalagahan ng asin. Ginagamit sa pagkain for preservation. Okay, let's proceed to the other items that are very useful to us. Ito. Are you familiar with this item? Ano po
Opo.
ito? Okay, so it is a soap na kailangan natin sa pang-araw-araw. Bakit mahalaga yung sabon sa atin?
Para mabungo po yung katawan.
Okay, what else? Para matanggal daw yung mga germs na nakadikit sa atin katawan. Meron ba ditong hindi naliligo or hindi gumagamit ng sabon? Okay, I hope wala. Lahat naliligo araw-araw. So, this soap is considered as an item that is bonded by ionic bond. Ito, gamot. Aspirin. So, aspirin also, or we have the commonly named as acetylsalicylic acid. So, what is the importance of aspirin? Aspirin is one of the most common medicine we have heard since childhood. It is used to treat pain, fever, and inflammation. So, yan. So, based from the chemical formula, masasabi ba natin na ionic or covalent ito? CHO4. It is, class, is it an ionic or covalent? Covalent compound, correct. So, yun lang, some lang yun ng mga items na makikita natin or ginagamit natin sa pang-araw-araw that are considered as ionic and covalent compounds. Okay, trivia. Did you know that the human body consists also of elements and some compounds? We have here some elements present, and also, of course, we have the compounds present in our body or na mahalaga sa ating katawan. Oxygen, carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, potassium, sulfur, sodium, chlorine, magnesium. Those are some elements. And we have, of course, the water and oxygen na kailangan ng ating katawan. Okay, for evaluation, you're going to answer this for 5 minutes, tapos i-PM nyo sa akin yung inyong mga answer. Kahit nga lang 3 minutes, kaya nyo to. Choose the letter of the best answer. Go! 3 minutes lang, no? So, your 3 minutes will start now. Ay, 10:23 na. Go ahead and PM your answers to me. Dan? One to 5 lamang po yan. Are you done, class? If you are done, do not forget to hit the raise hand button. Thank you. Are you done? Okay, so for your assignment, we have here, we're going to write 5 ionic compounds and 5 covalent compounds. Also, write their uses. Again, for your assignment, write 5 ionic compounds and 5 covalent compounds with their uses or importances in everyday life. Okay. So we have here, before we end our discussion, we have here simple saying. Saying, think like a proton and stay positive. Kahit na maraming kaguluhan, challenges na nangyayari sa ating buhay, we should think like a proton and stay positive. Hindi sa COVID ha, kundi positive sa pananaw sa buhay. So with that, thank you and God bless everyone. Thank you po.
Thank you rin po, ma'am.
Thank you po.
Thank you rin po, ma'am.
Okay. Saglit